Let me ask you something. Why are you so hard on yourself? Think about it for a moment. Why do we spend so much time beating ourselves up for our mistakes, doubts, and imperfections when we wouldn't dream of treating a friend that way? Isn't it ironic that we can show others so much compassion and forgiveness, yet we struggle to offer ourselves even a fraction of that same grace? The truth is, most of us are caught up in a circle of ruthless self-criticism. I know this feeling all too well because I lived it for years. Every time I made a mistake or received negative feedback, I would dwell on it for hours, sometimes even days or weeks. Have you ever replayed a mistake in your head for days? Maybe even weeks, wondering why you couldn't let it go? Like I said earlier, I lived it for years and it consumed me, spiraling into self-doubt and fear. It made me question my self-worth and inner peace, often spilling over into my relationships, especially with those who tried to connect with me when I was in that emotional space. Those were dark times for me. But eventually I realized something had to change. And that is when I started my journey of self-discovery and growth. And over time, I uncovered a fundamental truth that the opinions of others do not define me, my values do. And this single realization shifted everything. I began to understand that people's words and actions often reflect who they are, not who I am. And with that clarity, I could easily brush off unnecessary negativity and focus on what truly mattered: my sense of self-worth and purpose. I also learned to look deeper than surface level comments, paying closer attention to people's actions. And this allowed me to distinguish between feedback that could help me grow and feedback that were just noise. And gradually, I started separating my value from other people's opinions. One of the most important decisions I made was to never retaliate when negativity was directed at me. Why? Because responding with negativity doesn't align with my core values. When we react in kind, it often reveals a character flaw on both sides. Instead, I chose to approach those moments from within, guided by my principles. And this just created more room for grace and inner peace in my life. We tend to be our own critics, often in pursuit of perfection or validation. But here is the thing: when you fail to show yourself compassion, you shrink, limiting yourself and denying the love and peace you deserve. How long will you keep tearing yourself down for being human? Let me say that again. How long will you keep tearing yourself down for being human? Here is what I did to boost self-compassion. First, I acknowledged my inner critics. I realized that the most critical voice in my life was my own, not others, my own voice. And recognizing when I was being overly harsh was the first step. Please know that awareness is key to initiating change. So now I want you to take a moment right now and acknowledge your inner critics. Listen to that voice and then ask yourself, is this how I would talk to someone I love? The second thing I did is I separated my worth from others' opinion. People's words and actions are a reflection of who they are, not who I am. So once I understood it, it became much easier to block out the negativity and stay focused on my values and personal growth. Thirdly, I forgave myself for my mistakes. So instead of striving for perfection. I embrace my flaws because mistakes are opportunity for growth. If you're here to listen to our topic on how self-love builds inner strength and confidence, I will encourage you to do so. It was quite impactful, and I believe you'll grab some values from there. So rather than dwelling on my mistakes, I started forgiving myself just like I would forgive a close friend. Let me tell you a story. One time my husband came home from working in bad mood, frustrated over something that happened. I listened and I then gradually reminded him of the lesson within the situation. And I simply was like, oh, there is no need to beat yourself up over this. And you know what? A few minutes later, he was on his laptop watching a movie. His mood lightened. I can categorically tell you that that wasn't me some years ago. So please always remember that we are all humans and mistakes are inevitable. Acknowledge that and find peace. And the first thing I did was I developed a practice of self-compassion. Every day I made a conscious effort to show myself kindness. Whether through positive affirmation, deep reflection, journaling, or simply taking a break. And this practice became essential in nurturing my inner peace. One of the simple yet powerful exercises you can start with by building your own self-compassion is called the self-compassion break. It was developed by Dr. Kristin Neff. Next time you feel overwhelmed by self-criticism or stress, pause, okay? Pause and say these three phrases to yourself. First, this is a moment of suffering. Acknowledge the pain you are experiencing right now. The secondly, suffering is part of being human. This you do by reminding yourself that everyone faces tough times. So you are not alone in the struggles. The thirdly, ask yourself, may I be kind to myself in this moment? Ask yourself what you need right now and offer that kindness to yourself. This exercise brings immediate relief by helping you recognize your emotions, accepting them without judgment, and showing yourself the care you deserve. You can also practice the letting go rituals. It can be very effective. I do that most of the times, even up to now. Okay? But if you still want to learn more about cultivating self-compassion, click the link in my bio for support. And the fifth thing I did was I aligned my actions with my values. Instead of getting wrapped up in other people's judgment, I turned inward and focused on what aligned with who I am. My values became my compass, guiding me in making choices that promote peace and well-being. The moment I began showing myself the love and grace I had long been seeking from others, everything changed. Everything changed. I stopped waiting for outside validation and I realized that the most important relationship is the relationship I have with myself. So today I encourage you to do the same thing. Do something radical. Forgive yourself. Show yourself the love you've been longing for. True love doesn't come from pushing yourself to the limits. No. It comes from being kind with yourself, especially when you fall short. You are human and that is more than enough. So stop carrying the body of your own judgment. When someone criticizes you, remember that it often says more about them than it does about you. So focus on your values and let everything else fall away. Because here is the truth. Until you start treating yourself with the compassion you deserve, no one else will. And let's be honest, the most important relationship, the one that shapes all others, is the relationship you have with yourself. So I dare you, practice self-love by showing yourself compassion today. And don't forget to keep nurturing that relationship that truly matters with yourself. Until next time.